Hey guys, in this episode of Driver Spotlight, we speak with Justin Rogers. Justin and his brothers run the LateToApex racing team out of Florida. They run in Champcar and NASA. They drive a Mazda Miata. And we've had the pleasure of meeting him both in person at Road Atlanta and Daytona. And let's hear what he has to say. All right, Justin. So yeah, who are you? What do you do?
My name is Justin. I'm located down in Southwest Florida. Professionally, I'm an electrician. Last year, I recently started Late to Apex with my brother and my wife, we kind of specialize in Miatas, but we do everything HPD, time attack, autocross, parts, mainly sales. We're trying to get into the service side of things and building more cars as we're getting into building our own cars. Right now, I think we have 5 or 6 Miatas in our stable. Um, I have my personal silver Miata MB1 that I do HPE and pretty much like my test days with.
Okay.
And then my brother has a turbo Miata we just built. It's still on a test or a base tune kind of. It's got
Yeah.
a 10-pound boost cut, so it's fun there. And it's supposed to be like 18, 19 psi.
Okay.
Um, by the time we get done with that. And then we have our champ car, which definitely get into more later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have 2 other cars that we kind of just toy around with and mess around with.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So you have a bunch of cars. I'm gonna interrupt you just for a quick sec. So you have a
yeah.
bunch of cars. So how does this all start? Like, how do you get into even liking cars, or even going from like you like cars to I want to drive one on a racetrack? Like, what's the very beginning of Justin getting into motorsports?
So I mean, it all started way back when.
Yeah.
My brothers have always been car nuts and gearheads, so it kind of just fell in naturally. Um, Back in, I believe it was like 21, 22. My brother bought a GT350 and he was tracking that, and I just kind of, oh, let me go check it out.
Yeah.
Um, got bored of just checking it out, so I went and bought, I think it was a 92 NA Miata.
Okay.
Um, Kept that for a little while. Started doing some simple stuff to it: wheels, tires, suspension. Um, I love the NAs, but I wanted to NB swap my NA, but it was made
Yeah.
more sense to just buy an NB. So I kind of went and did that. And then it just kind of, the both of us, it kind of unraveled rather quickly.
Okay.
Um, Within the first year, he had a pretty bad impact with his GT350,
I'm sorry.
and due to COVID, it took quite some time to rebuild that. Um, so he drove my car kind of more than he did his, and
Yeah.
then kind of learned that a GT350 is kind of expensive to maintain on track. So
I know the
uh,
Miatas are a little cheaper.
yeah, so he ended up going with a Miata. He sold his GT350, and then the next day we went and bought another Miata from him or from one of my buddies, and that's kind of, I think, when the bug really hit,
Yeah.
and it's unraveled really quickly.
Okay, so you're
From
going
that,
like HPD days, and then how do you go from now? You both got your Miatas. I assume you're still doing HPD at this point.
yep.
What's like your first like? I want to get into turning this into like a race. Like I want to go wheel to wheel it with some people. What is that? What's that first race, and how do you get into it?
So we were actually at, I believe it was a NASA, maybe even a Chin track days down here at Sebring,
Okay.
and him and I were talking about him building his turbo Miata, and we were just scrolling through Facebook Marketplace, and we found a car that had a 6-speed transmission that was about the price of a 6-speed transmission. So we bought
Yeah.
that car and pulled the 6-speed out of that, put it in his car, and it kind of just sat there. And jokingly, we just were like, we should probably start racing. Like, it's probably cheaper to get into it this way, which it definitely wasn't. So,
Yeah.
but then we gutted that car. Our other brother, he got into it as well, and he used that as his HPDE car, and it just slowly evolved into what it is now. and we actually went out to Sebring Under the Stars last year and checked that out with Champcar,
Okay.
and that's kind of where we are like, yeah, Champcar is probably going to be our home. Just the
Yeah.
atmosphere in the paddock, and
Yeah.
um, really, I guess the low cost, quote
Hmm.
unquote,
Yeah.
uh, to get into it. So we went with them, and then we do a lot of NASA sprint days now. We've kind of cut
Okay.
back on other groups, and
Yeah.
we've kind of focused just on Champ Car and NASA.
Okay.
Um, the NASA group down here is super helpful, and paddock's always nice, and everyone's great there. So, kind of made that our second home.
So your first
Heading
race is
down here.
your first race is Champ Car? Like you first time you get into behind the wheel of
So,
like wheel to wheel racing, that's Champ Car, or was that a NASA race?
so that was a NASA event.
Okay.
We built the car, and then we went to NASA, and we actually got our comp licenses through them.
Yep.
Not that you need a comp license with NASA or with Champ Car,
Hmm.
but it was definitely something we both wanted under our belts.
Yeah.
So him
Makes
and I
sense.
kind of went and did that together. Um, and then so we finished the car. Let's see, what is it now? It's February, so I think we finished it late November, early December of 24.
Okay.
Um, and then started doing. We already knew the schedule we were going to do a Champ Car this year, but just
Hmm.
to get our feet wet with wheel to wheel, we started doing the NASA days. Um, but now that I've done the Sebring 8+7, and then
Yeah.
meeting you guys at the Road
Road
Atlanta
Atlanta. Yeah.
hour, doing really anything else is kind of just seems like going to get groceries. It's just short, and you get out of the car and you're like, wow, that was 20 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
endurance racing is like a whole different beast, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
it's I mean, it's super fun. I've been doing endurance racing for a while now, and it's a definitely different element than sprint racing, which is super fun.
oh
Okay, so
yeah.
you done your so you got into Champ Car, you did some NASA, so you're actually pretty new, and relatively speaking, right? Relatively
Yeah,
speaking, you
so the
guys
wheel
are
to wheel we're definitely new.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I mean, even with HPDE days, progressed pretty quickly with that one. Um, I think I stopped counting at the end of May last year, and it was like 20, 30 track days
yeah.
that I've had, and that was with groups like HOD, Chin, NASA. We have a small guy over here. His name's Anthony. He runs an event called Cars and Canards,
Okay,
and we've actually partnered with him. And, uh, he used the firm quite a bit, the Florida International Rally Motorsports Park up in just outside of Gainesville. We've done that track many, many times.
yeah,
And then he also went up to Roebling Road up in Georgia. So we follow him,
okay,
we support him as a friend.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so he got actually his first event is tomorrow for this year. So,
Nice. Are you gonna go to that?
but so we have a homestead race this weekend
Okay.
coming up. So I actually thought it was Friday with my scheduling, and I flip flopped. So I'm not going to be able to make that one, unfortunately.
Okay.
Um, the firm has had some issues recently, um, and the FAA came down and they actually said that the back half of their track is unusable because it's in a flight path.
Oh no.
Um,
Oh.
yeah, so it's limited the track, but it's made it smaller. You can't use the back half where the S's and the hairpin turn are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much like a big oval, but they implemented the shoebox as well. So I wanted to go. I wanted to check out different track
Yeah.
layout, but um, it's about 4.5 hours with traffic for us one way.
Okay.
Um, so it's kind of hard to commit to that, especially on a Monday. But uh, we do go to his track days quite a bit and help support him as well.
Nice. Nice. I'm sure you get a chance to drive the track then at some point soon enough.
Yeah, I'll definitely have some time this year, but
Yeah.
just unfortunately with our busy schedule and everything, uh, March is going to be crazy for us. We have Homestead next weekend, um, and then we're going to the 12-hour Sebring. Go watch that.
Yeah.
That's for
Should be
it's the
awesome.
same week. It's awesome. We've been
Yeah.
going for the past 3-4 years. It's the same week as my birthday.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so we go out there for the week, party, watch the race,
Yeah.
have a good celebration, come home, and then a couple weeks after that, we'll see you guys in Daytona for Champ Car at
Yes,
the
sir.
14 hour there. So
Cool.
um, that's busy, busy month for us, and we got to build two motors while we're doing it. So
Oh wow. Okay. Well, actually, let's get into that for a second. So you wanted so you went HPD days. You got your Miatas. You want to go to racing. You built the car. What made you decide to run your own team versus trying to do an arrive and drive? And it sounds like the answer is fairly obvious. Like you were obviously kind of gearheads with your brother. You guys built the car, so you're basically like a lot of the way there. But then, are you building this team to be one in which you will have arrive and drive drivers? Like, are you trying to make this like a business of having a race team, or is this solely just like a family affair? You guys just want to run it for yourselves? Like, what's the late what is the best version of Late to Apex look like?
so currently, it's definitely just a family affair. Um,
Mm-hmm.
at the Champ or the Road Atlanta event, one of our guys, his name is Mike. He's our pit guy.
Yep.
Um, he's the one that jumps in and wrenches while we're changing drivers or whatever, and he knows Miatas pretty well. Um, we were actually swapping the motor before Road Atlanta, and me and my brother looked at each other and we're like, "So he's here, he's helping us, he's here late nights, wrenching, doing everything." And we look at
Yeah.
each other and we're like, "So do we want to throw him in the car?" And Mike's off in the bathroom, so he doesn't know there's conversations going on at the time.
Yeah.
Um, and then him and I kind of joke about it. And Mike doesn't have a crazy amount of seat time. He does some autocross and stuff like that here. He's been to
Yeah.
a couple of the Cars and Canards events with us.
Okay.
Um, but he doesn't have like any wheel to wheel. So we get done putting the motor back in the car. And I'm like, "Hey man," I was like, "Do you have a Hans device?" He's like, "Yeah, I have a Hans device." I'm like, "Your helmet up to date?" He's like, "Yeah, my helmet's up to date." I'm like, "All right. You want to race this weekend?" And he just starts shaking like a leaf, and it's funny. So he's like, "I don't know." He's like, "I don't know if I want to do that." I was like, "Well, we'll throw you out from test day on Friday and see how
Yeah.
you do." And he handled it great,
Yeah.
and definitely had some code brown moments.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
uh,
that's like the beautiful thing though about like something like Champ Card. I mean, there's a few series that don't require a license. Is that you can just get in if you need to, or if you want to,
yeah,
especially. And people there are aware of that, right? Like everybody who's
yeah,
driving Champ Car knows that there's going to be some new folks who are probably never done wheel to wheel or maybe haven't done wheel to
oh yeah,
wheel, and like people are super, well, for the most part people are super respectful of that. And Champ Car themselves are really good about making sure that those drivers are like aware of all the rules, you know, like flags, like all the kind of like the basics of racing. They do have a good program for like first time drivers. You have to go to the, you know, their orientation or whatever. There's also a bunch of good stuff on YouTube to get the people going. So that's one thing that I love about Champ Car and other series like it, like Lemons or Lucky Dog. They're all kind of similar. Is that like
yeah.
you can do just that?
We
You can
talked about
find the
Lucky
guy,
Dog.
right? Yeah,
What about Lucky Dog and then Grid Life?
yeah,
Unfortunately, being based in Florida, Grid Life doesn't really have much of a presence down here, so we'd have to
yeah.
travel a bit to get to it. I would definitely like to get the chance to go out to a Grid Life race and check that out because it
You
definitely
should.
seems,
It's super fun. Yeah,
yeah, it seems like more of an event than it does a race, which is great because
yeah.
you have not only do you have the wheel to wheel, but you have the drift events, you have the concerts, stuff like that. It's not just show up, race, go home.
Hmm.
And then Lucky Dog, I talked to a couple of guys about Lucky Dog, and they do have a presence down here in the southeast. Um, but I don't know why. I mean, we just chose Champcar. At the 12 hours under the stars there, we were rained out for a little bit. So
Hmm.
my brother and I, we went and talked to Ray, the tech guy over there at Champcar, and
Yep.
he he's a big old world of information and knowledge,
Yeah.
and he let us pick his brain for about 2 hours. So while we were under rain delays, so he definitely helped us out with
That's
actually
awesome.
picking where we were going. Um, but yeah, back to Mike, he jumped right back in that car, and he was fine. So he actually did. I think he did about 3.5, 4 hours
Oh, nice.
on Saturday there.
Wow.
So he did great. And then it's him, my oldest brother Dan, my next oldest brother Mikey.
Hmm.
He also didn't really have too much wheel to wheel. He has quite a bit of track days. Um, he didn't have too much wheel to wheel, and we threw him in at Sebring,
Hmm.
and kind of got him into it, and he loves it. So right
Nice.
now he's driving an ND that I actually kind of wrecked that Homestead. I was going into 10 little hot and hit the little divot and went into
Yeah.
the wall at about 80. Um, that was a fun ride, but we fortunately fixed that up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Uh, I say we, but Dan definitely did a lot of fixing on that one. And he took that car over, and now he's kind of debating whether he wants to sell that and get a NB so he can be in something a little bit more full time that's like our
Hmm.
champ car. That or a sim. So he doesn't know what he wants to do yet.
Yeah.
So uh,
Okay.
and then myself, but
And
and
so the
then
plan is to keep it a family affair. Like you guys are. I mean, that's the plan for the team is basically keep it the
I,
brothers and
I think
partners.
for right now, I think for right now it is.
Yeah.
I do have a car that I bought super cheap as a shell, as kind of like
Hmm.
backup parts.
Hmm.
Um, that we've kind of talked about either turning into a spec Miata car or another champ car.
Okay.
Um, I think in the next 5 years, hopefully we'll have maybe one or two arrive and drive cars.
Oh,
Uh,
nice. Okay.
it'd definitely be nice to have. I talked to a couple of guys over at Road Atlanta that do the arrive and drive programs,
Hmm.
like Todd over at ATL Speedworks, and
Yep.
then I didn't catch his name, but one of the guys at Brew Crew.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
talked to him and kind of got some insight on the whole like how to do
Yeah.
because
And is it worth it? I think as well, right? Because
yeah, exactly.
there's
It's
a lot
worth
of
it.
yeah.
It's definitely gotta be worth it because there is. I mean, look at Mike Gorman.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's
they
a
have
bunch of cars.
they have a bunch of cars. So, I mean, it's got to
Yeah.
be worth it. Um, it's just gonna take a lot to be able to hand someone the steering wheel and say, "Hey, go rent or go drive this car and do it for 2 hours."
Yeah.
When they're paying, I mean, some cars are 1,500, some cars are $5,000, but they
Yeah.
send that
Yeah.
car into a wall. You're kind of left standing there, and hopefully they're good people, and hopefully you have a good lawyer if you need it. But
Yeah,
uh,
I think generally speaking, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for me. I mean, I do a lot of more arrive and drive. Like I don't have, so I have a race car, the Civic, but there's a
yep,
race team, Tooth Autosport, that takes care of it. And I obviously have to pay for their services when they bring it to the track so we can drive it. And same thing with anybody else who's driving that car when we go for a weekend. So I do a lot of arrive and drive stuff. And in my experience, everybody's been pretty good. I haven't heard of any like that many horror stories. I may have heard of like one
yeah,
horror story where
that's
like,
a great thing about the auto sports
yeah,
community is that it's definitely usually you're renting to someone that understands, and they also want to hand that wheel off to someone else when they get done.
yeah,
Um, but that's definitely a fear in the back of my mind of just giving someone the keys, not knowing. Especially with a group like Champcar or Lemons or
yeah.
something like that, where you don't need a licensing. Someone can just call you and be like, "Hey,
Anything
me and
could
my
happen, right? Yeah.
buddies are having a bachelor party this weekend, and we want to rent a car." That's
Yeah,
probably
I don't know
not
about
mine.
those guys, but
Yeah,
yeah, you do have to do a little bit of vetting on your side as a team owner, I suppose. But I mean, I think if you get someone with enough experience, and I guess the other thing that could be a little scary is like the guys who are doing it for the first time, where
yeah,
they may not fully understand things like, if they get hit on while they're driving, like it's their responsibility. It doesn't matter whether it's their fault or not. If someone hits them and they damage the car, I mean, it's up to them to pay for it because, it certainly isn't your fault that they got hit on track. So, like
yeah,
things like that. And people who do it, who would do the arrive and drive from a driver perspective, tend to understand that after they've done it a few times. But like, it's very important that like if they're like first time arrive and drivers, that like that kind of like written contract or whatever you put up in
yeah.
front of them has to be super clear that like everybody's under the same page, but who pays for what when, because I think
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest thing is like crash a
I
car
talked
and
to
then
a
all of a
couple
sudden they're like,
guys over there,
yeah,
and they were like, "Yeah, like just as a rental car, like if you feel a little iffy, just be like, hey, I need a $20,000 deposit or
yeah,
whatever."
that works. Yep. Yep.
But I mean, I don't know many people that are just going to turn over $20,000 and be like, "Here, if I crash a car, you can take it." But at
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
time, you're usually you know what's going on with that. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so that's cool. So what about as a driver? So you obviously again you're pretty experienced on the lapping days, you're getting into racing. Like what are your ambitions as a driver? Is it Like, just are you guys trying to get to the top of Champcar, and then as drivers as a whole, you're all trying to get better? Do you take any coaching, or like what's your actual, like what are your goals as a driver out there?
So as a driver for myself, I'd like definitely like to. I mean, tried we try to get some coaching locally. We
Yeah.
have a gentleman who's a coach. His name's Carl, and he's a pretty good coach locally. Um, and then Ethan Lowe, he's at a lot of our races, and he does some great coaching. We try to pick from him when we can,
Yep.
and definitely grow on that because I mean, there's always something to learn. So that, I mean, that's why we do so many track days other than just race events, so we can learn the car, learn the track,
Mm-hmm.
um, get more hopefully rain time. I know that sounds crazy, but after driving the Sebring, uh, mostly under rain, it was definitely a learning experience.
Yeah, it's a different
Uh,
world. Yeah.
yeah, so I actually went into seven, um, and we had a little bit too sticky of a brake up front,
Yeah.
and it kind of just slid. And I went all the way through seven and just barely nosed the front of a car. I didn't touch or nothing, but just barely almost did. And
Yeah.
that was definitely a co-brand moment for me there. Um, and then I definitely like to become an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Help other people join the motorsports community. My brother just did that, and he took Eric Call's course there for the MSF2
Oh yeah.
certification.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he said that was a great help. And then, I mean, other than that, just we've done now two events with Champ Car,
Mm-hmm.
and both time the first time we were, I think it was like 45 seconds off of third place at
Which is not
Sebring,
bad. Yeah,
which
that's
is
pretty good.
after 8 hours was not bad.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
very
That's
happy
cool.
with it.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think we were within a lap of the Wheels America guys in fourth place, or maybe it was fifth after Road Atlanta there.
Road
So
Atlantic at the
definitely,
14 hours. Yeah.
your goal this year is definitely the podium, but definitely keep the car in one piece.
Well, you're pretty close to the podium. So if your goal is a
So,
podium, you're not too far off.
yeah, so we definitely, if we can pull off a third in Daytona, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Have you driven Daytona?
No, so actually, I
Oh
have not
man.
done Daytona at all. My brother's done Daytona once, and
Mm-hmm.
then uh, we were at Winterfest with NASA a couple months ago, and they had a sim company that came out, and we picked their brain. They let us run the sim for about an hour over in
Mm-hmm.
Daytona on iRacing, and definitely got some good inputs. So we'll see how it works out in Daytona.
It's super fun. I think
We
I
have
think
a
you'll love it.
Yeah, and watching it definitely watching the videos, I'll love it. I don't know how
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the bus stop. That commitment to the bus stop is what's probably gonna have me.
I think in reality, in the bus stop, like I've done that race a few times, and the reality is people go slower than they like. Most people overslow for a bus stop for the right reasons, right? Like
Yeah,
most people go into it way too slowly, but safely. So we'll take that over anything
yeah,
crazy out
exactly.
there. But I think most people like you can take that really fast, and I think
Yeah,
you'll find yourself like taking it thinking you're going really fast, but then really realizing that there's actually probably lots of margin there. So it actually ends up being a bit of a tame corner as long as you're not like completely crazy out there. And I think most people take it really well. So I think
yeah.
you'll do just fine.
The company that we were working with on the sim there, they had a coach there, and he obviously were the only ones on the track at the time in the sim. So
Yeah.
he's like, he's like, just tap the brake, go into it full throttle. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to commit to that. And
Uh,
we're in a Cup Miata that's kind of like tuned to be an NB, like a
yeah.
spec Miata. And it held, which I was very, very surprised about. But yeah, doing that in real life, I don't know.
I think you'll find it difficult to get up to that.
Yeah,
I mean, if you can do it, that's awesome. If you can if and the car sticks and all that, that's amazing. But
yeah. I
it'll
mean,
take a few laps to get up to that.
if we can do that at about hour 13,
Yeah.
I think I'd be happy. But
Yeah,
I don't think we want
exactly.
people doing that in the middle of the race. So
So do any of you actually have a sim at home? Like you or your brothers? Does anybody in the family
no,
have a sim?
we're tossing around the idea of getting one.
Yeah.
my oldest brother, he definitely looks at it as a video game.
Yeah.
And I think the last event we had there with Winterfest and talking to the guys there with a sim, uh, they kind of teach it more of as a training tool.
Hmm.
And I think he's a little bit more off the whole video game concept, but he's
Yeah.
still on the fence about it. Um, and not really wanting to. I mean, we could throw three. I mean, I have a nice PC here. My other brother, he has a PC we game.
Yeah.
Um, so we have the PC part, which is definitely a good bit of the
Uh,
cost of it.
it is. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but still to drop 2, 3 grand on a sim setup when we could
It's a
throw
lot.
that into coaching or track
Yeah.
days.
It's hard.
But the
So I'll
nice,
say I've been simming for a long time. There's actually if I unblurred my screen, there's actually a sim rig right.
yeah, I saw that in one of your
Yeah.
videos there. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
and there's one right behind me over here. So we actually have two Sims, but so we're actually big fans of Sim. I actually think the Sim is an incredible learning tool. Like I
yeah,
actually think that is, and the biggest thing with a Sim to me is actually having the right mindset. So when you drive the Sim, especially when you start driving a Sim, is like having the mindset that you gotta really think of it of like I'm going out in a car and I'm gonna drive it as if it's a car and not have the mindset of I'm gonna drive it like it's a video game, because as much as
yeah,
yeah it is a video game of course, but it's like that makes the world of difference in how much you get out of it, because if you treat it like a car and you apply your driving fundamentals to it, it is an incredible learning tool, especially if you're going to a brand new track. Like knowing
yeah,
reference points, even braking is like pretty, like I practice on a Miata and on iRacing, even though I drive like a Civic in real life. And I would say like the braking points, the markers on the side of the track that I'm looking at, like all that is super accurate. So I would say that like I would be hugely in favor of you guys getting a sim
yeah.
personally
So
from
I
my
mean,
experience.
I'm
I
sure
think
we'll
I think
have
it's awesome.
by the end of the year here.
Yeah.
Um, being that Sebring's our home track, I use a lot of feel and like textures as my
Yes. Yeah.
inputs.
Yeah.
So that's where the whole sim gets me is like
Mm-hmm.
going into a turn. Like I look for that bump, I feel for this or something like that. Um, and that was nice about the group that we ran with on that sim. And they had the butt kicker and they also had fans, so
Mm-hmm.
that way it would blow air at you. So you kind of get some of those inputs. I mean, it's not definitely one for one,
Yeah.
but it's pretty dang close. So that was I had a buddy that had a sim and it was just a basic Logitech setup.
Mm-hmm.
And he threw me out at Sonoma and I was overshooting every turn because I didn't really get the whole like field of view concept
Yes.
on
Yeah.
the video game. So,
Yep. Yep.
but yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things where it's you want to spend more money to get a better realistic view, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, you don't want to spend 15, $20,000 and then
No,
you
there's
could have
no
been in the
need.
home.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
like I have like my wheel. I don't know if maybe I can unblur my screen because you actually see my sim one sec. Like my wheel is like a very basic Thrustmaster wheel. Like it's not even a fancy direct drive wheel, which a lot of people are going with nowadays. Which, and rightfully so. Like see if I can remove this. There. Okay, yeah, you can actually kind of see it, right? So like right there is that's my wheel here, and that's a Thrustmaster. Like I've had that forever. It was the very first wheel I ever bought was
mhm,
this wheel. Now my pedals are a little nicer. Like I have these Husingvelt Sprint pedals, which are pretty nice. And then Claire's got, again, like she's got the same kind of nice pedals, and then also a Thrustmaster wheel, but slightly better than mine. But neither of us have like direct drive, which is like if you start looking into sim rigs and start googling it, like
yeah,
people will say direct drive is what you need, blah blah.
it's a wormhole.
Yeah, so but you don't need it. Like what I'm trying to get at is like
Yeah, you don't have
to
to
get
spend
started.
crazy.
Yeah, you don't need the crazy stuff to like get value out of it. And so like you can start, you don't have to go like 20 grand. Like you can definitely go way cheaper than that. And then in terms of like screens, like I have a VR headset, VR setup right there, which I like a lot,
Mhm.
which helps with like the immersion thing. So like the whole like reference points, looking around, like it helps a lot with that. Whereas Claire has like a single monitor, and it's a different
Yeah, I think
experience. But
we
you
were
can do
looking at
either
doing
or.
like
Yeah.
the ultra wide, like a 50-inch ultra wide
Yeah.
curved. Um,
Yeah.
which Best Buy just had like a $3,000 monitor for like $600, but it sold out before I could even click it.
Oh damn.
So I unfortunately didn't grab that. But we're definitely on the lookout for some sim parts and um, us having Miatas. One of the guys up, it was Full Send Sims over in Orlando, which
Mm.
is the company that we talked to while we were at Winterfest, and having the Miata, our pedal box is inverted. So
Okay.
that was the big thing. He's like, yeah, like you can go ahead and get a basic uh like floor mounted pedal setup, but driving a Miata, you definitely want to get a
Flip that
better
around.
feel
Mhm.
for it. He's like, so just he's like, spend the extra little bit of money now, like buy once, cry once kind of thing,
Mhm.
and flip it and get the inverted pedals. Um, they are a bit more expensive,
They
but
are, yeah.
I think that's what we're gonna end up going with is an inverted pedal setup, and then yeah, definitely just gonna figure out the other peripherals, the steering wheel, stuff like that. We have a couple of old race seats sitting around the shop, so we'll
That's all
probably
you
just
need.
use them.
Yeah.
So,
Because like
um,
I'm, you can't see mine. It's my seat's right behind my head here, and that's like a
mhm,
regular. I think it's a regular racing seat. It's not even like a sim racing seat. It's like literally
yeah,
just it's just bolted
I would
onto rails.
get cheap
It's,
on a G or something like that, but I think
yeah, exactly.
we have, I think one or two. I know for a fact we have one steel seat
Okay.
that, which is what we have in our car, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One old Kirky, so definitely could throw that on there until it ends up in another car.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. There's a
um,
guy. There's a guy. Actually, I did an interview. The very first interview we did on this show was Logan Sennhauser, and he actually
yeah.
drives a Miata and Champcar. I don't know if you've talked to him or met him, but
So actually,
he.
I will say Logan has actually been a great tool to talk to.
Yeah, awesome.
We watched a lot of his YouTube videos.
Okay, cool.
That
Okay.
was a lot of my brother and I's like nighttime, like just hanging out, watching random stuff. It was either Cletus McFarland or Logan. Uh, so we watched a lot of Logan. I would say he's probably a big reason of why we chose Champ Car. Um, seeing someone like Logan, where obviously, I mean, he has a full time job,
Yep.
um, and it's him and his buddies, and I mean, they don't have unlimited pockets. So,
Yep.
but you're still going out
Exactly.
having fun. We kind of, I mean, you start having 3, 4 guys going out and do a track day for a weekend. That's that's $4,000 adds up quick. So,
Yep.
like, yeah, we can cut back and get more seat time doing one of these. So that's kind of how we started doing that. So
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
the value for
Logan was
money is
definitely,
of the
yeah,
independent stuff. It's crazy. Yeah, and I was mentioning Logan. I mean, super awesome guy. He and because he does a lot of sim racing, and I think he streams it too.
yeah,
His sim racing.
yeah.
So
He has, quite a few leagues. I watch his videos every
yeah,
once in a while. I think Champ Car started a uh, iRacing league this year. I think he
they did.
does a
Yeah,
bit in there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I know I've watched his videos. I see your guys' logo on the back of his iRacing car, so that's great to see.
yeah. He put that on. That's awesome. I don't know
So
if he's going to Daytona. We should ask him actually. Maybe I'll ping him on Discord to see if he's
yeah,
planning to go to Daytona or not. Because that'd be cool. We haven't met him in person either yet. Like we met you at Road Atlanta. We haven't met Logan yet, but I'd love to catch up with him in person. Hopefully he ends up at Daytona as well. That'd be really cool.
yeah, it'd be nice to see him down here. I'll reach out to him, and I mean, we definitely like to see him around the paddock. So,
Yeah, he's a
um,
nice dude.
but just like with you guys, put a face to the name and
Yeah.
grow the
All right.
relationships. So,
Maybe we'll do the last topic, and that's live streaming. So you got one of our kits.
yep,
What made you want to? I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people want to video their racing, which makes sense. And usually people go with like GoPros or the like, right? What
yeah.
made you want to go that one step further and then live stream your races? So what was your driver behind doing that?
So I'm kind of the nerdy one of the three
Yeah.
brothers.
All
Um,
right.
I mean, we have our Garmin Catalyst, but
Yep.
I wanted something that we could see real time. Especially getting into that whole arrive and drive program kind of thing. You can see what your driver's doing. Road Atlanta, obviously, with the topography of that track, there's
Mhm.
some blind spots in the radio that you can't really talk. Um, so it's nice to be able to see, okay, they're back here at turn 7. And then, okay, once he starts going into 10A, 10B, you can start radioing again and communicate. And then also, I mean, you see that red flag pop up. I mean, how many red flags do we have at Road Atlanta? Um, that was crazy. But you can at least look down like, okay, he's safe, he's good.
Yeah.
Uh, and like my wife, she's a great part of our team.
Hmm.
She's affectionately our team mom. Make sure all of our suits don't when we get out of the car and get undressed and changed, they kind of put themselves back together.
Yeah.
Um, and then like my brother's wives, they're there as well. They help out. So I mean, it's nice for them. I mean, even them, they can hang out at the Airbnb and see what's going on at the race and know we're safe.
Yeah.
Um, but I wanted something, especially being in Florida, the GoPro kind of overheats and shuts off pretty quickly.
Hmm.
Um, and I wanted something real time. Um, so we looked at other units, but they required an encoder and a hotspot and all this other stuff. Um, so I think it was actually one of Logan's videos I started watching and seeing how he was live streaming, and then I
Okay, cool.
reached out to you guys directly, and
Yep.
kind of asked some questions. I bought my subscription to the platform and kind of tinkered around with that a little bit, and then we got our system, and we've had multiple people that have been at the track and asked, "Hey, how the heck are you doing that?"
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a hotspot in the car. I think that was the biggest. Like, I wanted to minimize what was in the car,
Yeah.
but I also didn't want I didn't want to pay for an extra hotspot or a phone or something like that in my phone plan. Obviously, with this, I mean, you have to pay. We have our phone service, but it's minimal. We reached out to Eric Hall, and he was great help.
Awesome.
Saved us
Yeah.
a little bit of money. Um, so we got that set up, and then it's just. I mean, I'm talking to you guys now. We've grown. We're gonna get that the Nitro B from Rugged Radios,
Oh yeah, that's
and so
cool.
we can have our communication. So I'm kind of scared on that one because you never know what
It's
can
interesting.
break.
You forget, like we did it. So maybe just to reference those who don't know what we did. So Claire and I raced. We were at Sonoma last weekend, and we tried this Nitro B radio, which basically was able to output a 3.5 mil cable into the camera, the Mine A5 camera, and then we split that with another mic. And so basically on the live feed we had the car noises, but we also had
I was
anytime
actually
the.
just gonna ask you that about the whole car noise and the radio. I didn't get to watch it, but yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So
well, I'll hit that in a second. But basically, we were able to get those both into the live feed. So now, every time a driver were to radio their crew, or the crew to radio a driver, we would actually hear that in the live feed, and that's what we were able to do. So what we ended up doing was we did split. So we had like, it's actually not ideal because it basically splits the car to being one of the right or left channels, and then the radio is the other channel. So when you listen on like a phone, you can't really tell the difference. If you had headsets on, like I do now, you would hear
mhm.
kind of the car on one side and the radio on the other. That's how
Okay.
it comes out when it comes on a live feed. But if you're listening on like a laptop, or you're listening like with like a phone or something, like you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I will look into like on the software side, on our side, if we can mix those so they come out as like basically a mono feed out to the
Okay.
users. But right now, the way we tested it last weekend was like, yeah, right or left basically.
Yeah.
And actually it worked amazing well. The only downside to it was there was kind of two problems, or two downsides. One was it doesn't have, like, the Nitro B would pick up. We put it in the car, so basically the driver's radio was always picked up, right? But if the car was on the other side of the track, it doesn't have as good of a radio as you do with your antenna on top of the roof with your
Yeah.
car, or even the radio inside a built-in radio inside your car. So
Mhm.
it would miss maybe some of the stuff that was, the crew was saying when we were far enough on the track. And then the other thing is that the way we're doing it is we actually probably need to like, we're picking up, there's like a little background buzzing noise because we have two like basically powered inputs into the audio. We have the Mine A5, which is powering that 3.5 mil, and then we also have the Nitro B. So there's a bit of like a
Okay.
background buzz, but while the car's running on track, it, like, you can't hear the buzz because there's so much noise with the car, there's so much
Yeah.
noise with everything else. Yeah, exactly. So you can't hear. But if you're like in pits and the car's off, you'll hear like kind of a steady humming. So we'll try and
Okay.
get rid of that, but like that's the only downside. But I would say like it was super successful and super hilarious because people will forget that they're being live
Yeah.
streamed, so they'll get on the radio and they'll say stuff, and then you're like, maybe we don't want to broadcast that. But it
Yeah.
actually went out okay. No one said anything's really crazy, but that is one
Yeah.
thing you gotta watch out for.
So we're actually a rugged radio dealer.
Yeah.
And I reached out to the guys over there at Rugged Radio, Kenny, and I asked him, I was like, "Hey, this is what we want to do," and he came back with the same setup.
Yeah.
He said, "Just get the Nitro B, plug it in, you'll be fine." Um, and then I don't know why my did one of the tooth guys, did they have a, was it race radios or something like that harness that split it as well?
They may. I don't remember. I know Claire mentioned to me that you had mentioned to her that
I could have
we
sworn
may
when
have
I was
had
at the
one.
fair with you guys, someone handed you guys a harness and was like, "Hey, let's try this instead of that." But
It's possible. Honestly, it's possible. What happened at Road Atlanta, we brought the Nitro B and we brought what we thought was all the cables we needed. We actually were missing a cable. So it is a high probability that we asked the guys there, like, hey, do you happen to have this cable? And someone handed us something at that time. I don't remember us, whatever it wasn't the right one because we weren't able to stream. So
okay,
whatever it was what that was, but it's very possible that someone handed us something.
yeah,
In
because
the
I think
meantime, I bought stuff, but
yeah, because yeah, definitely be nice to find a way to split the in car instead of having that. Because, like you said, that thing's like this big and
yeah.
it has no antenna, and it's definitely only meant for like a circle track kind of setup.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and actually, one of our circle track guys, he's also one of our pick guys here locally. He can't travel too much because of his family. He's got two little girls, so he can't get to come out too much and party with us and have
Yeah,
fun. Um, but he does circle track, and that's what he has in his car, and it's pretty much just for listening to the tower.
that's right.
So it's definitely a smaller unit, not great power, but I mean, it's doing what we need to do now. So I think we're gonna grab one and we'll have it for Daytona.
That's
So
awesome.
that'll definitely be fun.
Yeah.
So I gotta remind the guys to keep it somewhat PG-13.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. All right.
Yeah,
So there's one thing. So we're gonna wrap up here pretty soon. I think we're getting into the longer run. But there was one thing with your setup that I've never seen, or not that I haven't seen before, but that is definitely was a bit new to us. Was how much vibration your car has. So
yeah,
we tried like so. First of all, you were stripping at Sebring at first. So we all know Sebring. It's like super bumpy. So it's probably the worst. Sebring's the worst case scenario as far as like
yeah,
shakiness and bumpiness, especially on video. But then I feel like in your car, it was like ultra vibrations. Like I haven't seen any other car do that. And so it was interesting when I met you in Road Atlanta. We tried a couple different things, just different directions of how to mount the camera,
yeah. We
and then
definitely moved
finally,
it, but yeah,
yeah, yeah. And then we finally tried like a different mount with like a little rubber. I don't know if you ended up putting that rubber on it or not, but it
yeah.
seemed like
So
it got better, right?
we used that little ball mount you gave us with the rubber and the hose clamp, and it works absolutely phenomenal. Um,
Okay.
I actually got in the car as you got out the car.
Okay.
So, and then Claire went out, and
Yeah.
then I came back in, and I think it was like halfway through my stint, I radioed in, and I was like, "How's the stream look?"
Yeah.
And my crew radioed back, and they're like, "It looks great." And I'm like, "All right, awesome." But then we were also there was that one issue with the software that if we updated it a certain way, it would just end the
Not.
stream.
Yes. Yeah. To your YouTube
Um,
channel, it would end it. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, but you guys, I mean, Claire was there. She helped me out. We figured out how to get that. I mean, very quickly.
Okay.
Unfortunately, running a hotspot in middle of road Atlanta, our stream quality at the beginning was kind of subpar. But about halfway through, we got that crystal clear, and it was very, very smooth. And we're very grateful for that because, yeah, being at Sebring as our home track,
It was a lot of
it was teeth
vibration.
rattling sitting at home watching it. So,
Yeah, exactly. I remember that. It was crazy. I was watching that and I'm like, I thought the camera was loose or something. I'm like, this is crazy. How much is so much vibration? And then, yeah,
yeah,
I
so
mean,
that's what I was kind of wondering too because Logan, I mean, I think his setup was pretty similar. I don't know what he's running for suspension and engine mounts and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I will say we'll try it again in Daytona because we're putting that motor back in the car. It's got some stiffer motor mounts. Um,
Okay.
so we'll see if it comes back. But it definitely, I mean, even from our test day with the camera to then, it definitely was night and day difference. So we'll see how the motor mounts change that one. But
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, that's like the one thing. Like, I wish that camera had like optical image stabilization. You know what I mean? Like, if you get a GoPro or
yeah,
like a DJI, they're all like do some like fancy,
internal. Yeah.
stabilization. Yeah, yeah, and it actually works amazingly well in those cameras. And I wish this particular Mine A5, I wish it had that feature. I've asked the manufacturer if they
Uh-huh.
could on their next version include it, and I haven't got a confirmation yet, but I really hope they do because obviously in race cars there's a lot of vibration to begin with,
Oh yeah.
and generally speaking it's pretty good. Like I said, like yours was the worst I had seen it, but generally speaking it's pretty good. But it would be better if we could get the camera to do some stabilization.
Oh yeah.
That would be nice. So hopefully the next version will
I
have
have
that.
like one plus for the GoPro, which
For
uh,
sure.
we with the GoPro you need another hotspot in the car, and like I said, we're trying to minimize anything that was in the car that could
Hmm.
potentially become a projectile in case there's an accident.
Yeah,
Uh,
that too.
that's definitely is it's nice with your guys' unit because it all bolts and mounts, and it's as we found out very rigid.
It's very
Uh,
rigid. Yeah.
so which is great. But yeah, now that we have that rubber mount in there, it's the isolation's been great. So that yeah, it's turned
Sweet.
out awesome. We love it. So and then I think we've had like 3 or 4 teams ask, and I know you guys are getting some more units in. I think in the
Yep.
next week or two.
Yep.
Um, I told them I said watch that website and just order it now once you see it. So you should have maybe 1 or 2 gone next week. So
Awesome, and yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we did a couple of teams did reach out to us, so we're getting stock very soon. By the time this releases, is probably going to be like not really relevant time wise. By the time I
yeah.
release it, anyway, they right at this as we're speaking, we're out of stock, but we will have some in the next few days. So
Yeah,
hopefully
we
we'll
even
ship
had
those
we
out.
even had a family at one of the NASA events. Their son, I think he was like 16, 17, running Spec Miata, and I had our stream up on our laptop, and I was up in the gurney terrace there, and they like looked over my shoulder, and we were back and forth with this car all weekend, which was great. But they were
Yeah,
like looking over my shoulder, and they're like, "How the heck? Like, is that in car video?" I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "How the heck do you do that?"
yeah.
It's like they're like, "Is it a Sentinel system or something like that?" I was like, "No,
Mhm.
it's a pretty base entry, great system. Um, definitely the best bang for your buck I could see." So they, I don't know if they've ordered one or if they are going to order one, but they were very interested in it. So
Awesome, man. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Okay, I mean, we'll wrap up here. I usually give the guests a chance to thank anybody, any of their sponsors or any partners of theirs, or your mom, your family, your whoever you want. The floor is yours to finish us off with any
so
message for anybody.
uh, our biggest sponsor is actually my wife's. She's a vet tech.
Okay.
Their office they've supported us in all of our endeavors. We used to race BMX. They sponsored our race team back then.
Nice.
When I told them we were starting a wheel to wheel endurance team, first they said I was freaking nuts, and then they were like, "How do we get involved?" So they've helped us. And then, like I said, I'm an electrician. I work for my brother, so we know a couple contractors locally, and they love motorsports as well. So we had another company. Let me go back. Her company, that's Choice Veterinary Services down here in Southwest Florida.
Okay.
Um, love those guys over there. And then our other sponsor is PC Security Systems. They're Sarasota and South. Uh, they've definitely helped us out quite a bit. And then obviously brothers, wives, they're great support. So
Yeah.
uh, my both my brothers got kids, so we'll see if they end up in a seat sometime. So one of the Miatas we just bought might actually be his daughter's first car. We'll see
That'd be
how that
awesome.
goes.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So we'll
All right, man.
see. So
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. I know
hey, thanks
we've
for having
been
me.
we've been chatting a bunch since you started using the platform, and we met in Road Atlanta, which was awesome. And I guess we'll
Yep.
see you in Daytona.
Yeah, we'll definitely see you in Daytona. And I think there's another gentleman. He just grabbed one. We'll see him in Daytona too. I think his name is John. So
John, yeah, he just ordered a
yep.
kit actually. Yeah, and he's been active on the Discord. He just joined as well.
Yeah,
So
interest on it. The Discord is
yeah,
great because if you guys aren't available, we can talk back and forth and kind of ping each other, and then you guys jump in there and give us some answers too. So definitely
yeah,
nice
it's
to have
awesome.
that.
Yeah,
So,
it is awesome. We're trying to get more and more people on there. Not even like not even My Races Live customers, like anybody who just wants to talk about live streaming. Because as much as like we sell a kit, you know, and we think it's great, obviously for the reasons you mentioned earlier. Like there's a plethora of hardware you could use for this stuff, and
yeah,
people like Logan, for instance, Logan uses a GoPro, I think, right? Like there's a ton of different people
I don't
doing
know if
different things and like
he's
exchanging info. But
his phone or something like that. One of the two.
yeah, maybe his phone. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, you're a good point. It could be his phone actually. But yeah,
I
anyway,
remember
people use
him
different
mentioning
stuff.
something about a company phone, but I'm not going to get him in
You're
trouble.
right. Actually, you're right. Actually, you're right. You're right. You're right. He did say something about his company phone
So
going in there. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, I even found that one camera that I brought to you guys.
Yeah,
Uh, it's got SIM card capability, but we can't figure out how to use it. So
correct.
it'd be
We're
awesome.
still trying.
I gotta find a friend that can maybe code an app so we can figure it out.
Yeah.
I was hoping since it ran on Android that it'd definitely be easy to kind of crack, but
Yeah, we're
prove
still
it to me.
trying. We're still looking at it, but yeah, it hasn't been very easy to be honest.
Yeah,
There isn't much information out there about it is the problem. Like I think we're trying to. Anyway, we can talk about it offline. We
yeah,
don't
we'll
need to
definitely have to
turn
dig
right
it.
here. But anyway, we're still trying with that camera, and hopefully
All
we
right,
can
I mean,
post on the
sure,
Discord
as
when we
long
get
as you
some.
guys want it, just let me know
Yeah,
and I'll send you the label and you can send it back. And I'll
sweet,
show you the jump chart here with my like Hero 3.
sweet, sounds good. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. We'll
All right,
stop the
thanks for
recording
having
here.
me. We'll
Yeah.
see you guys in Daytona.
Cheers.